and night. I toss and turn, I keep stressing my mind.
Before I do wrap it up for the day, guys, I really need to talk about another fight on that UFC Vegas 11 card. Obviously, I'm going to be talking about the main event. That main event was Covington versus Woodley, and I really thought that Woodley was going to win the fight. I thought that Woodley was going to go in there so pissed, so angry, with so much malice in his heart that he was going to literally kill Colby Covington in that octagon by a vicious KO. Obviously, that did not happen at all. Covington ended up winning the fight via TKO on the ground. Tyron Woodley ended up popping a rib. I believe it was due to all of the body shots that Tyron was eating against Colby Covington. Colby Covington was definitely working some good combinations. He was working some flying knees to the solar plexus, some body kicks to the solar plexus. Tyron started out really well in that first round, but then after the first round, he just decided to fade all the way to the final round, or the fourth round, I believe, where Tyron's body basically gave up on him with that broken rib. And I really do feel bad for Tyron because this is his third fight that he's lost in the past 2 years now. He obviously lost to the champion Kamaru Usman when he lost the title. Then he lost to Gilbert Burns, and now he's lost to Colby Covington. What's next for Tyron Woodley? I really would like for him to retire itself because there's really nothing else for him to prove into the octagon. He's fought against the best of the best. His last three fights have been against guys in the top 8 basically. And for Tyron Woodley, I really do think that he needs to hang it up. He's obviously a good MMA analyst for the UFC. He does a lot of work for them. Hopefully he will still continue to do work for them even after he retires. And I would really like to see Tyron Woodley open up an MMA gym in Ferguson, Missouri. I really would. He's from there. The town has a lot of history when it comes to cops and unsenseless murders, and there's a lot of racial tension that's going on in Ferguson, and a lot of hatred towards the cops. And I believe someone who's as successful as Tyron Woodley is, obviously he went to college, University of Missouri. He was an accomplished NCAA wrestler. He also has a bachelor's degree in sociology, I believe, and he's just a really smart guy. Tyron isn't stupid at all. He can use that degree to some good work. He can open up his own business, his own gym. He can open up multiple businesses if he really wanted to. I don't really know if the music's going to be a good thing for him, just because I don't believe that Tyron's really the best musical artist out there, obviously, with some of the songs he's put out. But overall, Colby Covington had a really good performance against Tyron Woodley. He continued his performance against Robbie Lawler onto Tyron Woodley. He had a pretty good close fight against Usman, but obviously I did believe that Usman was winning more of the rounds. His shots had more power to them. He was more accurate. Colby was more about volume. His cardio gave out on him. It was a valid stoppage. I don't blame Mark Goddard whatsoever, because if you're a referee, your job is to protect the fighters, and that's what Mark Goddard did that day. He didn't want Colby to sustain any more damage than he already had. His jaw was broken. He was basically bleeding a lot out of his nose, a lot out of his mouth. So he didn't want Colby to sustain any more damage for at least another 20 to 15 seconds before he would have probably been unconscious. But other than that, Colby did go on to have I guess you can say, a really intense confrontation with the champion Kamaru Usman himself, because Kamaru Usman was working the desk that night with the UFC post show after the UFC post show. That's what I'll call it right there. And Colby obviously got a call from Donald Trump, and then after his call with Donald Trump, he had a little intense conversation with Kamaru Usman. He told Kamaru that he's dead multiple times. He kind of threw out some racial slurs, not racial slur, but there is a little bit of race coming into it. Kamaru's from Africa. He was talking about Kamaru and his tribe and smoke signals and all that kind of stuff right there. That was kind of uncalled for. Other than that, I was loving it. I was eating into it. You know what I mean? That was a real good confrontation. Is the fight going to happen in the future? I really have no idea. The fighter that I really want Colby to fight next is Jorge Masvidal. If I were the UFC, I'd scrap any plans of making Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz, because Nate Diaz is completely irrelevant at this point. He's not even ranked in the top 5, and that wouldn't do Jorge Masvidal any wonders. If he really wants to defend his BMF belt, he might as well do it against Colby Covington. He's been talking smack for multiple years now. Everybody hates him. I guess you can call Colby Covington a BMF himself, and you might as well put that belt on the line. And the winner doesn't only win the belt, but they also get a shot at Kamaru Usman. I believe it would be number 2 versus number 4, if I'm mistaken, obviously, because it's the number 1 guy is Gilbert Burns, number 2 guys is Colby Covington, the number 3 guy is Leon Edwards, and the number 4 guy is Jorge Masvidal. So number 2 versus number 4. Winner gets not only the BMF belt, but the winner also gets Kamaru Usman. We gotta make that happen, man. We gotta make that happen. That fight would sell millions of pay-per-views right there. And I'm talking about a lot of pay-per-views right there, because these guys hate each other. There's more malice in between this matchup than there was malice and hatred between Colby and Tyron. Because when Colby started out at ATT, obviously he had a situation. He didn't have a place to stay, so Masvidal decided to be his friend. Let him stay in his house a couple of times, wrestle with him every once in a while. They basically kindled a friendship with one another, and then things broke apart when Colby decided to take on this personality, this act, this gimmick. Even Colby said that this is an act, this is a gimmick. Everybody knows it. He was about to get cut by the UFC. He needed to do something different. He did, and that's basically what's gotten him to where he's at right now. And they broke up after that, and there was no more friendship. There's fire, there's lava, there's coal everywhere. There's if you can think of like a graveyard underworld or anything kind of like that. That's how I look at it when I think of these two, because these guys just want to kill each other. If these guys were in the same room with one another, you'd probably need at least 50 security guards to make sure that they wouldn't be beating each other's asses at all. So this is definitely the fight to sell. It would make a lot of pay-per-view monies. I definitely see a lot of bars and a lot of Buffalo Wild Wings out there kind of filled, even with the restrictions going on. But still, this fight would sell a lot, and there'd be a lot riding on it, because the winner would obviously get to fight Kamaru Usman for the second time. Both these guys have lost to Kamaru Usman. Colby obviously got TKO'd by Kamaru in the 5th round, but he hurt Kamaru Usman more than Jorge Masvidal did in Fight Island. But Jorge Masvidal faced Kamaru Usman on 6 days' notice. What could have happened if Jorge Masvidal had a full camp? And that is the question, my friends. And will he get another chance to fight for the title? Will he get another chance to fight for what he really has been fighting for his whole entire career, a UFC championship? I don't know. It all depends on what Jorge wants. If he wants to fight Nate Diaz, go fight him, but you're really not going to gain anything from fighting Nate, because you're most likely going to beat the crap out of him like you did the last time, and win easily like you did the last time, because Nate's pretty washed up at this point. His face is full of a lot of scar tissue. You punch him a couple of times, he starts bleeding like crazy. Get a doctor in, they'd probably stop it again, for crying out loud. You fight Colby Covington, you hate him, you get to beat the crap out of him, you finally get to put your hands on him, and you finally get to put your hands on Kamaru Usman right after you get the W, and get another crack at the UFC title, but with a full camp. These are just some of my opinions on what both of these men should do in order to get back to the top. Now, if Colby doesn't want the fight, there's another guy that can face. He can fight Nick Diaz, but why would he fight Nick Diaz? Nick Diaz is a huge name in the UFC. He's a legend, for crying out loud. Everybody loves him. If he fought Nick Diaz, he'd get more notoriety. Obviously, you'd probably like to fight Nick Diaz more than you would want to fight for the title. Or you can fight Leon Edwards, who's not busy at the time, but I kind of predicted already that he's going to fight Khamzat Chimaev in the future, so put that in the rearview mirror right now. So other than that, there's a lot of situations that can go on in this weight class, but it all depends on what these guys want to do. If I were Dana White, if I were Sean Shelby, the actual matchmaker, I believe I can actually make better fights than Sean Shelby myself. With the big fights, not the not the fights where all these new people come in from different organizations, stuff like that. That's actually a little bit more tricky. So I give power to Sean Shelby when it comes to that. But when it comes to those two guys, they need to fight each other. That's what the UFC needs to do. Not only to make money, not only to get more pay-per-view buys, but in order to set up the next opponent for Kamaru Usman after he fights Gilbert Burns in December. So I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Like I said, I'll keep on pumping out these videos as much as I possibly can. I know I said it the last time, and it basically took me another month in order to get another video out, but I really do appreciate you guys for watching. Next video I'm most likely going to do is how Bellator was able to make it to Paris, France, before the UFC. Yes, Paris, France. France has legalized MMA. It was this year, January 1st of 2020, they legalized it. All these promotions were chomping at the bits to try to get to France, the first major MMA promotional event in the history of its country. But Bellator was able to get there first, man. Power to Bellator. But take it easy, guys. Thanks.